In 2023, I spent $240,185.60 total out of pocket for my luxury cabin in Broken Bow, Oklahoma. What's up, guys? My name is Casey McKeown. I'm a licensed real estate agent both in the Orlando, Florida, as well as the Dallas-Fort Worth area of Texas. And obviously, as you can see, and if you've been following my channel, you know I invest in other states as well, which obviously includes one of my largest investments, this cabin in Broken Bow, Oklahoma, which I almost spent $250,000 out of pocket for to furnish, to finish out the build job, as well as all of the other expenses I've incurred throughout the rest of 2023. Now, one thing that I will say is I certainly expected this. There's been a lot of up and downs over the course of building this particular cabin, and it's been renting out since basically June of 2023. And I can certainly say I am loving it now that it's generating income on a monthly basis versus actually costing me. And I'm gonna get to a few great things as far as what this property has given me an opportunity to do towards the end of this video. So make sure you stay tuned for that. So a little bit of backstory if you haven't been following my channel, or maybe you're finding this video, maybe it's because you want to build in Broken Bow or purchase a cabin in Broken Bow. My particular situation dates back to 2017 when I utilized my VA loan, purchased a duplex in North Dallas, and essentially lived on one side and house hacked it and rented out the other side. Now, the great part of that is I bought in 2017. Essentially, anyone that bought in 2017 is sitting pretty if they haven't sold their property, or maybe they have sold their property and they've made a decent amount of money, which is exactly what I did in 2022 during really what was the peak of the real estate market. Now, as we all know, the real estate market has certainly softened. By no means has it had a significant fall, but I sold at a good time and used the proceeds through a 1031 exchange to essentially buy what is now my luxury cabin in Broken Bow, Oklahoma. Now, one thing that I pride myself on when it comes to my YouTube channel, and I say it multiple times, is transparency. Now, I certainly could make a short TikTok or just a short form video and basically say, hey, I bought this investment property and it cost me $250,000. It's gonna get a lot of clicks, a lot of views, and a lot of engagement. Or on the flip side, it could also say that, hey, this investment property has made me a substantial amount of income. But again, when it comes to this YouTube channel, I'm showing you guys a lot of behind the scenes, a lot of the good and bad, not just the great. And again, transparency full on when it comes to my investment properties and really my journey from start to finish. So what you're looking at here, guys, is essentially an entire breakdown of all of the expenses that I incurred over the course of 2023. So even initially back in March, I paid a down payment for an interior designer. Also, about a month later is when my build job was complete and I owed my builder another $26,000 out of pocket. So you're seeing the wide range in price here from $2,000, $38, $26,000. And all of this is really going to be furnishings for the time being. Now, eventually, with all of the items that I did purchase, moving towards about June of 2023 is when I finally finished and this cabin was really, at that point, ready to rent out. So yes, a lot of my expenses were upfront if you include a lot of the finish out, as well as the $30,000 pool spa and the $10,000 hot tub. You can see where a lot of those expenses are certainly early on and quite heavy. But again, those expenses are a one-time thing. Hopefully down the road, I'm not gonna be furnishing an entire 3,500 square foot cabin from the ground up, as well as a 2,500 square foot covered patio in the back that also has, as I mentioned before, $40,000 in a hot tub and a pool spa. Now, obviously expenses will continue to incur. As I started to rent this out more, I'm obviously covering utilities on a monthly basis. I do have that hot tub and that pool spa that needs a weekly maintenance, especially between each visitor. And there's obviously other miscellaneous repairs and whatnot that you're gonna have as a short-term rental house that are going to accumulate over the course of the year. So yes, I spent a whopping $240,000 that came straight out of my pocket. A lot of my earned income when it comes to real estate transactions went straight into this particular property. And that's actually one of the tax strategies that I'm gonna explain here in just a second that I'm able to take advantage of in 2023 to really offset this pretty substantial loss I'm taking. But before we jump into that, I do wanna say, obviously, since June, this has been renting out. I've been thankful and very fortunate with having a property management company essentially take care of it. And I will say, since mid-June of 2023, it's rented out every single weekend. But the great news about that, guys, is this is a large cabin. We're not renting to a couple. This sleeps up to 19 people. So on a slow weekday, we're talking $300 to $400 a night. And I know on my peak weekends, such as Thanksgiving, Christmas, New Year's, I was getting close to $2,000 a night. What does that add up to in terms of total earned income in 2023 for my luxury cabin in a Broken Bow? Well, I'm sitting north of $120,000 in total income. Now, if you do some quick math, you may be saying, Casey, $240,000 in expenses, $120,000 in income, you essentially spent twice as much as this cabin actually made you. Which, as I said before, being fully transparent, is the numbers at the end of the day when it comes to this particular rental property. So yes, in 2023, I'm taking a pretty substantial loss. But the good news, guys, is again, I only earned income for 6 months of the year with this particular property. And on top of that, I would say probably half, if not maybe 60% of the total expenses that I incurred this year are one-time expenses. Now there's going to be expenses moving forward, but a lot of those expenses, as I just mentioned, are expenses that I'm only going to have to make initially upon essentially completing this cabin. But it doesn't quite stop there, guys. Yes, I'm still gonna be taking a substantial loss on my taxes on this particular property when it comes to filing my taxes for 2023. But I've also been able and fortunate enough to network with the right people and be surrounded with a good CPA, a good financial advisor, as well as a few other people in my life, to where I'm gonna be utilizing a cost segregation study. Now, what this basically means in layman terms is rather than expensing the total $240,000 over the course of the next few decades, I'm gonna actually shorten all of those expenses to this particular year. And then on top of that, any future expenses, I'm actually going to further up and expense this year as well. Now, I'm not a CPA by trade. I'm allowing my CPA and financial advisor to work together to be able to do this correctly and wisely. But what I will tell you is I'm taking north of 6 figures in terms of a loss, and I'm essentially gonna be able to take that loss and put it against the earned income as a real estate agent. So some quick math here. If I made $100,000 as a licensed real estate agent, I'm gonna owe $100,000 on taxes for the earned income as a real estate agent. Well, I had a $100,000 loss on this particular property here, and needless to say, I can use that $100,000 to now offset the earned income as a real estate agent, so I no longer have any tax liability to the IRS. Now, for anyone that's made it this far into the video, and maybe you're not a homeowner, maybe you're looking to purchase your first home and turn it into an investment property, I'm telling you right now, the benefits just keep coming. Now, obviously, when I purchased my duplex with my VA loan back in 2017, I had no idea that I'd be able to leverage it and the profits from it maybe 5 or 6 years down the road into a property north of $1 million. Just side note here as well, this cabin's worth about 1.5. So I was able to upgrade from a $300,000 property, leverage myself further because I was willing to take on the risk and purchase a property that's now valued at 1.5 million. Now, another added perk here is my loan value is under $1 million. So if I wanted to sell it right now, I could just walk away pretty quickly with $500,000 in cash. Now, in addition to that, November and December alone generated close to $50,000 in gross rental income. So you see the opportunity with investing in real estate. You can essentially go from a property that you purchased, maybe with a VA loan or a conventional loan or an FHA loan as your first property. If you continue to invest, you can see the huge upside as long as you're willing to take a little bit of risk. And also, if you're an individual that has come across this video and you're wanting to potentially invest in Broken Bow, Oklahoma, just don't. It's a very horrible market with no returns. Or don't, because you're gonna wind up being my competition. But at the end of the day, cabins are still being built here. People are gonna continue to come here. And me personally, this is gonna be a cabin that I can not just use as a short-term rental that rents essentially every single weekend, but it's gonna be a cabin that I utilize with my wife as well as my future kids. Someplace that we're gonna be able to go and spend holidays on, but continue to earn income from individuals that rent it on the side. And that really wraps it up as far as my largest investment property ever, guys. Tipsy Bear, which is a luxury cabin in Broken Bow, Oklahoma. I'm gonna leave a link in the description below if you are possibly interested in renting this. Again, it is not cheap, it is not small, it is a very nice place to stay. I would love to be able to host anyone that may be interested, or maybe send it to a good family, friend, or colleague. Again, I appreciate all the support. Make sure to like and subscribe, and stay tuned for the next video.